Oh boy, has there been controversy and more controversy, mixed controversy. Welcome to another Let's Talk, and in this one, we're going to jump into Assassin's Creed Shadows. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows, the trailer dropped, and again, controversy. Uh, Everybody's not really paying attention so much to the shinobi, but the samurai warrior. So we have one ninja on our hands, which is the female protagonist of Assassin's Creed Shadows. She looks really cool. It's like Naoi, I think, something like that. And sorry if I get any of these names wrong. So on the other side, we have all dark and evil, possibly, of samurai, we'll say it like that. Yosuke, something like that. So historical figures, some possible DEI stuff happening, some possible, we have to include a character of color into the story mode. All that stuff has been, going around and been talked about and everything. We have different narrative writers talking about how they worked on the game and their work is being changed and all that stuff, which I don't think is 100% true. But then we also have this guy over here. So Hanzo. And where I got the name Hanzo, Hattori Hanzo, from was actually one of the people that claims to have worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows. And yeah, as soon as they said Hanzo, I'm like, Hanzo sounds familiar. I've heard that name in the lore of Assassin's Creed before. So then I just went into the wiki 5 seconds into the Assassin's Creed wiki. You type it in and boom, we have a character profile. Now, I haven't seen too many people talk about Hanzo, even though he is one of the key figures of the Japanese Brotherhood of Assassins. So let's do due diligence, if you will. Let's jump over here. So first off, let's actually just do a really quick character dive profile, if you will. So Hanzo was a vassal of Tokugawa. Again, if I get any of this, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, my bad, sorry. The last of the 3 unifiers of feudal Japan, where we're going, a famous samurai and ninja. Hanzo was also a member of the Japanese Brotherhood of Assassins. Okay, so 5 years later, in 1578, Hanzo assassinated a rival daimyo. Again, I can't pronounce these names. Templar Kenshin. In June of 1582, word reached Tokugawa that planned to betray his lord Oda Nobunaga, which is, again, this is tying in to the storyline that we're seeing for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Possession of the Sword of Eden, which again is a big tie-in right there. Hanzo stayed with Tokugawa to ensure his lord's safety, tasked another assassin, the monk, Taka. So, this guy here was originally supposed to be the protagonist. That mask would have been a very weird cover art. But yeah, I get it. Not saying, the mask is bad or anything. I'm just saying he's got a big nose. So this guy was originally supposedly planned as one of the playable characters, I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was Hanzo. Again, things change so much in the writer's room and when they're making the games and everything to, try and make everything go together. Taka killed during Mishid's attack, which I think this right here might be what we are end up seeing in the trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows when the village is burning. Maybe. Again, not a professional Japanese lore guy or anything. I'm just going by like what we're seeing from trailers and what we're reading here. And brought the sword to the Chinese assassin Lu Yan. Let's see here. Assassin's Creed Memories. All right. Sword of Eden. Save. Chinese Brotherhood. So who took it with her to Japan. So I think this might be the one that you play as in Assassin's Creed China, the side scroller one. I do believe that was one of them. Again, there's a lot of Assassin's Creed games. So yeah, like Hanzo is going to be a major factor in Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's no way he's not going to be. So there's a certain account that has been highlighting all of the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff of people who worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Apparently, if who knows, maybe they're just saying they worked on it. They didn't. I don't know. But so here's the first one: Assassin's Creed Shadows key art leak. Yep, it's confirmed. All right. Yes. Yasuke, I think is the name of the guy. This Black Samurai is one of the main characters. Now, I'm thinking, yes, Yasuke is going to be the plot twist villain. There's always a plot twist villain. In the last, like, 4 Assassin's Creeds, there's always that one character where it's like, oh, that guy, we're going to have to kill him sooner or later. And then they end up being, like, the main villain and everything. Just like, Assassin's Creed Mirage and all that stuff. Valhalla had it in there. It's like, yep, that guy's going to be... he's gonna be done. So let's see here. The other is a shinobi woman named Naoi. God, I don't know how to say his name. Trailer comes tomorrow, but it's confirmed now for sure. The first AAA AC game set in Japan walked right past every Japanese man and went for the black guy. It's a bold move. I guess we'll see what happens. So then another person here is trying to say that they worked on it. So I worked on some narrative elements. So some narrative elements for Sengoku era of Japan for Assassin's Creed back in 2013-2014 when I worked on the contract in San Jose and Tokyo. I guess they tossed all that out for Black Samurai and some can destroying Kanochi bot. So no, they did not throw it out. What they most likely worked on was, again, this guy's backstory right here of like turning him into a full-fledged character for Assassin's Creed Japan. So it's not that they threw the story out. This sounds like to me a unhappy employee that is trying to, they're like, oh, well, I'm not main center stage. The spotlight isn't on me. So I'm going to trash talk anyone who worked on Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed, Shadows. Screw that game. That's what this kind of sounded like in this first. I'm so glad I'm not in the industry anymore. Exactly. And they jumped out. Plus, they're also breaking a lot of NDA stuff, which I won't actually go into all of that. So despite, let's see here. Despite Nobugana's successor, Hideyoshi acquires the sword, which is the Sword of Eden, goes on a rampage, extends into Korea, Taka steals the sword back. Okay, so a lot of this stuff could be potentially spoilers, but we don't know what they're going to be changing and everything. And again, right here, we end up seeing all the characters that are in the wiki that actually explains, how they all go together, how the sword probably is, it's going to end up most likely going into China. So, of course, it is Twitter. There is a lot of controversy that spreads across social media. It always happens. Every single game has it over and over and over again. Everybody complains about every single thing. But one of the main things that I am actually genuinely curious to see is the gameplay trailer. So Summer Games Fest is literally right around the corner. And along with Summer Games Fest is Ubisoft Forward right around the corner. We'll probably end up seeing another major trailer for this. So right now, really, it's going to be like a month's worth of like, the world's on fire. Assassin's Creed is going woke and DEI, which actually I don't disagree with. The whole DEI thing, yes, they found the one black guy in Japan and they were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's put that guy on the main cover instead of putting Hanzo possibly. Okay, so Hanzo is a master assassin, but let's also look into Oda Nobunaga, powerful daimyo. I'm butchering this stuff, I know. Sengoku period. When the Japanese assassins made contact with Nobunaga, he was sympathetic to their cause and promised an alliance once he had unified his country. However, he came in possession of a Sword of Eden. The possibility of an alliance was compromised. So he basically kind of took over Japan using an artifact that is right down Assassin's Creed's alley. That makes me feel like, we're definitely going to be seeing, the whole thing of, like Apple Eden and all that stuff. See, it will also return to the newer style action RPG style games, features reports to be the game, including the ability to extinguish torches for hiding spots, the ability to go prone, and enemy posture meter akin to that of Sekiro and other From Software games. Interesting. The map is larger than Valhalla. but smaller than Odyssey and will encompass most, if not all, of Japan. Similar to Ubisoft's Avatar. That's crazy. This is going to be a giant game. A giant weapons range from katanas and Kanobo war clubs. Now, if there's one thing that people can, okay. So there was a little bit of controversy that they are using katanas, and katanas didn't come into usage until like 100 years later or something other like that. I don't know how, again, not a Japanese lore expert by any means. If that's something, okay, they screwed up on the weapons, and I definitely seen like, oh, they had the weapons in the wrong spots and all that stuff. Okay, sure, whatever. Fine, valid criticism, but you got to listen to the wording that they are saying. So much so, I think I want to actually listen to the trailers one more.
In the game, you can switch between both characters as you please. They do.
So you definitely there is like a co-op aspect of this where both characters are playing, kind of side by side and such. Yeah, you do play as both characters. Again, I think that's the wrong move to make. I don't 100% agree with it. Does it break the game for me? No, not really.
His skin color was one thing as well that the reports on the Chronicle of Oda say that was the first African man that Oda had ever seen. Oda asked him to stay with him, and this is what we know pretty much of the story of Yasuke. So there are a couple of elements that we will see also in the game that are historical reports of his presence, but then after that there's quite a bit of an interesting what if with him that will happen.
So it is not 100% historical accurate what they're going for with the samurai character here. They are going for a what if situation. It is rooted in reality, but then it's a what if of like, okay, we're going to, so basically it's almost like you're like Yasuke is basically a mythology character. Instead of you going into the realm and playing as Odin, like in Valhalla, no, they are bringing that character here and doing the what if thing, so they don't have to make a whole other separate timeline and all that stuff. I don't like that. I don't agree with that. I'm seeing too is like people are going to jump on the hate train, and we're already seeing Assassin's Creed is dead. Fans are big mad. The good and the bad. This is a joke. It's the Star Wars thing where the black guy is a stormtrooper and he tries to get out of the stormtrooper lifestyle. So then he turns over to, okay, I'm going to have a new master now. Sure. Which I think that is actually what his real life story is that's what they're trying to make it as being, that his real life story is. This is feudal Japan also. So who the fuck knows what he was back then? It's just like, ancient Roman times too. There's so many mythos around all these characters, all these people and everything. He might not even existed. This guy might be just a mythology that slaves, made up, like a bedtime story or something, that they made up. And then somebody got rich off from selling the story of this guy. Who knows? What I'm thinking is going to happen is you play as her, and depending on choices that you make, because Valhalla and Odyssey and all of them have choices that you make. So when you make the different choices, then it comes down to whether or not he betrays you in the end. If you side with the samurai choices that he, is known for, then maybe you become the betrayer of the shinobi, and then if you side with the shinobi, then he becomes the betrayer, and you have to kill him and chop him down. That makes perfect sense for an Assassin's Creed game.
We approached it in the same way that so much of the work is done in Assassin's Creed, which is really in terms of research and history first. Not a lot is...
Now, the problem with the research and the history first is there is so much contradicting history around this guy. I'm not even going to try and say their names anymore. Around the samurai, we'll just call them shinobi and samurai, that's trying to pinpoint exactly who this guy was and what his actual story is, because they're spending millions of dollars into trying to figure out what, whether, hopefully they are doing that anyways. And this is also, again, for those that are being like, well, screw this, play Ghost of Tsushima, because Ghost of Tsushima actually stays true to Japanese lore and everything. Ghost of Tsushima is made by Japanese developers. They live there, they know this stuff. Well, Rise of Ronin is also another one that is a little bit controversial, but it still stays true to Japanese They are also Japanese developers. They live there. They read this stuff. They grew up with this stuff. These guys are Canadian. They are all the way across the world. They are Canadian, and well, I mean, being a Canadian company, you know, what Canada's going through politically right now, sociopolitically also, it makes sense that they would try and, you know, oh, there's a black guy samurai somewhere in history, let's add him in. It makes complete sense on the development and the writing of this whole project to go with the Canadian mindset right now. That is, you know, all let's call it what it is, DEI, you know.
The more we read about the character, the more he was inspiring for us. He's a foreigner discovering Japan, and we thought it's the perfect fit because he's discovering Japan and you are discovering Japan also.
And on
The problem with that logic, though, which I am huge on, like, don't make a dumb character. But that sounds like they're making a dumb character. He is going to be dumb of the ways and everything. Instead of, like, Ghost of Tsushima did a great thing, and this is where I will give Ghost of Tsushima a ton of credit. They introduced lifestyle stuff of Japan, and then they were like, okay, so here's what Japanese customs are, and check out these Japanese customs of, like, what they, you know, when it comes to customs, when it comes to sword fighting, customs when it comes to, you know, different armors and praying at temples, and, you know, some mythology stuff and everything in there. And they could have gone 100% down that road, which it feels like they are going to go down that road with this. And that's the reason why the main character is going to be dumb, because it's basically the black guy samurai is representative of everyone outside of Japan, and then Shinobi Naoi over here is representative of everybody inside of Japan. She is going to try and teach him the customs and the ways. Again, I think something's going to go wrong, and then they're going to become mortal enemies. Does it suck that they're not? I mean, the thing is, though, is Assassin's Creed hasn't been 100% lore accurate and perfectly told in. They've been adding mythos. They've been bending the rules on the whole, like, this is a history book for a while now. If you want a history book, you watch the Discovery Tour mode on Assassin's Creed. You don't play the story mode anymore. Like, that's the thing. Like, the story mode is rooted in reality, but they definitely twist and turn things a little bit. And, you know, that's just kind of the way it's been with Assassin's Creed for a while. Ever since, like, really, I think it was Odyssey was the first one where they started, you know, like, super kick, and you can kick somebody off a mountain because 300 and ha 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 and all that stuff. And that's the reason why it took me so long to get into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And then ever since then, it's been like, oh, we're going to have the mythos of these legendary characters, these mythological characters. We're going to send you to hell and make you go through Valhalla and all that stuff, and, like, Odin and everything else over here. So, again, if you are like, it's a history book, damn it. I mean, I would love to go back to those days. I would love to explain why the mythos are not really like these gods and everything. Yeah, that used to be Assassin's Creed. I love that way of Assassin's Creed being, but that's not what Assassin's Creed is anymore. You just gotta take what you can get now. The two shadows being, you know, I mean, a samurai warrior. If, you know, he can be a shadow in the beginning of the game, he can be part of the Brotherhood, and then he betrays the Brotherhood, and she goes, why are you betraying the Brotherhood? They are, you know, helping us become more and all that stuff. And then you have to hunt him down because he betrayed the Brotherhood. So that's her initiation into the Brotherhood, which would go along again with so much of what Assassin's Creed keeps doing, where you don't become an assassin till the ass end of the game, which I don't like that either. I'd much rather be an assassin maybe like in chapter 2, and then, like, if there's 12 chapters, then you got 10 chapters where you are an assassin, you're building up you know, the Brotherhood in that area. That's what Assassin's Creed is supposed to be ever since Assassin's Creed 2 with Ezio and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood itself. It's supposed to be building up base camp and then turning the Brotherhood or building up the, you know, the chapter of the Brotherhood in that area. That is was Assassin's Creed. And then you're getting also the artifact or the Apple of Eden or whatever else. That's what Assassin's Creed is supposed to be. But yes, they're taking a lot of liberties on it to try and tell a certain story a certain way and all that stuff. Okay, so Japanese reception from Ubisoft's latest video game, Assassin's Creed Shadows. One Japanese user says, for the first time I understood what cultural appropriation was. Very diversity. Yeah, so people are a little bit pissed about all this, which, again, in a way, rightfully so. Let's see how well received it is. A game where black people massacre Japanese people in the Sengoku period is a perfect example of oh man. It is kind of political correctness taken to the extreme. The sword is in the wrong position. So again, this is like, again, you can nitpick this stuff. They should be getting it correctly, especially if they have maybe a consultant on, on set telling them like, okay, well, here's this and here's that. This is how you use the weapon. This is, how it's stored. And this maybe, you say a prayer before you use this other thing or something, whatever. Bit disappointed. I wanted to play as a Japanese ninja, which you can. It's my favorite game since I started with Syndicate and have played everything. You can play so that's technically wrong right there. You are playing as a Japanese ninja. That is the shinobi. And then hopefully, like I said, I think the shinobi is going to turn into the actual assassin. I don't think there are any Japanese people supervising the architecture. It's Chinese and filled again. So it's the reason why I highlight something like this too is because some of this stuff, again, the way people react to everything, it usually is a little overblown on different parts of like what they are arguing and complaining about and everything. But yeah. Overall, though, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think we need to really wait for a gameplay trailer to see exactly what we are getting ourselves into with Shadows. Is the story and the lore not 100% correct to what it should be? Sure. But again, I don't think we have the whole story of exactly what is going on with these characters, what is going on with the lore, what is going on with the history behind the characters. I think there's a lot more to be said and to be shown here, and to just write the game off and be like, it's going to be the worst game ever, it's trash and all that stuff, I think is jumping to conclusions a little bit, in all honesty. But yeah, definitely there is some weirdness happening with it, which 100% should be. I don't know if they can address it because this game is probably well into development of, between character casting and rewrites and everything else. The one thing I will also say too is when it comes to development wise, it would cost them, so for whatever the people that might have written for the game to begin with, it would cost them so much more to rewrite and bring in new writers to, do different stuff with the lore than it would be just to stick with what is already written and to go with that. That's just a, technical side of things. So, yeah. Again, it's a bit of a mess right now. We'll see more of this Ubisoft Forward coming up next month, early next month. So, yeah, just wait a few weeks and we'll have more questions answered and probably more questions to go along with it too. So, anyways, that's going to do it for this one. Hit that sub button, like button, bells, notification, whistles, all that YouTube stuff. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And I will see you next time.